Be me, 43F, Senior Director of Corporate Messaging at a software-adjacent company, live in a downtown glass tower apartment, the kind of place where the monthly rent could probably fund a small village. But hey, the view of all the other glass towers is luxury. Inside, looks like a furniture showroom threw up in grayscale white counters, gray couch chrome, accents, everything perfectly lined up clean in a way that almost feels clinical. My friends, mostly women, call it goals. I have a master's in communications, grew up in the 90s prime era of girl power CDs, riot girl energy, and third wave feminism. Warming up spent a lot of my teens believing the future belonged to us. The story in my head was easy. Men ran everything, they made a mess of it. Now it was our turn to fix the mess in college. My dorm walls were covered in posters of rebellious women and slogan art stuff like well-behaved women rarely make history. Dated a musician for a while. Of course I did. Classic broke artist package, shoulder-length hair, acoustic guitar, always writing raw lyrics in a notebook. At first I thought he was deep emotionally available, cried during sad movies, listened when I talked, felt different from the usual guys. Then after a while all I could see was zero ambition. I was mapping out internships and career steps. He was mapping out his next coffee shop. Started to resent him, broke it off, told my friends he was dead. Waite said he couldn't handle a strong woman with plans. They all did. The supportive nod, thing felt neat, felt correct, fit, the whole world view. I was building. Then came my 20s, full girl boss era. I clawed my way up the corporate ladder. One rung at a time, worked longer hours than the men around me worked harder. Two, had to be sharper just to get the same credit. The boys' club was absolutely real golf invites. I somehow never got casual drinks after work, where actual decisions got made inside jokes. I wasn't in on it. Fed this righteous anger in me, made me better at the job. Honestly made me meaner, too. Dating during that stretch felt like a case study. I kept repeating there was. The finance guy loved how driven I was, right up until my income passed. Suddenly I was too intense. Suddenly I wasn't warm enough. Suddenly ambition was unattractive when it wasn't his. Then the nonprofit guy, very progressive, very online, could talk for hours about systems. And theory also somehow expected me to manage every emotional conversation and every life decision. Apparently what he really wanted was a replacement. Mom who could also argue about Foucault over dinner. Then the divorced dad said he wanted something low pressure, which translated to convenient sex, plus free therapy about his ex-wife. Every failed relationship became another exhibit in my mental trial, another brick in the wall, another data point, confirming what I already believed. Men were intimidated by successful women, or emotionally stunted or selfish. Usually some combo of all three. I'd retell these stories at brunch with my girlfriends, bottomless mimosas, sunlight, collective eye rolls. Can you actually believe this, man? We'd laugh, shake our heads, and top each other's horror stories. It became a ritual, our little validation loop. We were the competent ones, the evolved ones. They were the issue. My 30s were basically the same movie with bigger consequences. Tinder and Bumble replaced organic meet cutes. I got insanely efficient at screening profiles, group pick, where I have to play detective to figure out which one is him left. Swipe bio just says ask me, left swipe. You are 36. Not a mysterious forest creature. Write a sentence went on, more dates than I can even count. Dozens and dozens, and almost all of them felt identical. An hour of me conducting a job interview. What do you do? What are you looking for? Have you ever gone to therapy? What's your relationship with your mom? Most of the time I walked away underwhelmed. They'd light up talking about fantasy football or the newest superhero movie. And there I was trying to talk about social structures and late-stage capitalism, while he's explaining multiverse continuity. Like, it's a doctoral defense. I led with confidence, humor, sarcasm. It worked as armor, kept me in control. A lot of them never called me again. Their loss. Obviously they were threatened. Some did keep seeing me. But I always found the crack in the drywall within a few weeks. He's messy. He never reads. He voted for the wrong person in 2020. He used an emoji that gave me the ick on principle. My list of disqualifiers kept growing and growing and growing. I kept telling myself my standards weren't unreasonable. I just respected myself. Meanwhile, my friends started disappearing into marriages one by one. They paired off with the exact men. We used to roast the finance, bro, the kinda bland but dependable IT guy, the dude with practical shoes, and a 401k. They'd post engagement pics on Instagram, ring in focus, sunset in the background, captions like hashtag engaged and hashtag. He asked I'd type, "Oh my god, so happy for you," and hit send. Then came pregnancies, then babies, then no one could ever make brunch anymore. Our old validation circle shrank into a group chat, and most of my contribution became heart reacting to ultrasound pics and toddlers in pumpkin outfits. Now I'm 43, the apps feel post-apocalyptic. Men my age are divorced and hunting for someone. 29 guys in their late 20s think I'm some fantasy older woman who will mother them and sleep with them. My last serious relationship ended about a year and a half ago. He was 37. Freelance illustrator, seemed promising at first, sensitive. Creative, same, politics, good taste in music. Then the reality set in, zero momentum, lived in a chaotic apartment with 3 roommates, dishes in the sink, clothes everywhere, the smell of stale takeout and incense. I started doing what I always do, trying to optimize him, rewriting his resume, sending job postings, suggesting routines, basically building him a life plan he never asked for. He finally told me I was acting like his supervisor, not his girlfriend. Said I was exhausting. We broke up. I told the group chat. He was another man-child who couldn't handle a motivated partner. What I didn't even really say out loud, was that the whole thing made me feel tired and weirdly alone. Which brings me to work, because work is the one place that makes sense. The office is my territory. I'm very good at what I do. People respect me, some are a little scared of me. Which, if I'm being honest, I kinda like. I manage a team of around a dozen people, mostly younger millennials, and Gen Z, smart, eager, always looking at me like I have the answer key. And then there's Evan, different department. But we cross paths on a lot of projects, business intelligence team. He's 31. If you asked a lab to engineer the platonic ideal of a beta guy, they'd hand you Evan, not ugly, not especially attractive, either just forgettable in a neutral way. Wears glasses, has that slightly too long floppy hair. Nerd guys think looks effortless, plain button-down shirts, jeans that fit well enough. No loud brands, no slogans, no trying too hard. Quiet guy in big meetings. He barely talks unless someone asks him something directly. But when Evan does talk, he's scary. Smart guy can look at a giant, messy spreadsheet and pull a clean story out of it in like 2 minutes. Sees patterns nobody else catches. He'll sit there quiet for 40 minutes, then casually drop something like, "Actually, if you compare the Q3 engagement dip against the outage logs, it's not the campaign performance, it's infrastructure." And every single time he's right, he saves my team from getting roasted on a regular basis, then just fades back into the wallpaper, never pushes for credit, never does the little victory lap thing. Meanwhile, I've been dealing with a new kind of lonely, not the dramatic kind, the dull, heavy kind, the kind wine and Netflix can't sedate anymore, the kind where it's Tuesday night, you scroll your contacts and realize there isn't one person you can call just because my therapist keeps telling me I need to open myself to different possibilities. And one day my eyes land on Evan, and my brain starts building a plan, not romantically at first. Strategically, like, I'm outlining a campaign brief, okay? Who is he? He's shy, probably not that experienced with women. He's smart, he'd value intelligence, he wouldn't be threatened by my career. He's gentle, non-confrontational, not one of those aggressive alpha types that always turns into a disaster. For me, safe, manageable, easy target. And, yeah, that thought is ugly, but in the privacy of my own head, I can admit what I'm thinking. He'd probably feel lucky to have someone like me, confident, established, older, experienced. I could shape this. We could be one of those power couple but intellectual situations. He brings quiet stability. I bring Polish and real-world experience. It felt logical, clean. This had to be the new possibility. My therapist meant a safe bet, a project. So I started the campaign phase 1 infiltration. I begin inventing reasons to talk to him. Analytics sits on the other side of the office, so I start making little trips over there. "Hey Evan, got a minute? Wanted your take on the new acquisition dashboard." I'd lean over near his desk while he pulled stuff up, close enough for the perfume to register, close enough that it was obvious I was choosing to be there. He was always polite, always a little thrown off. "Oh, sure, Sarah. 1 second. Let me open it." Then he'd walk me through charts and trend lines and filters. I'd do my part, nod, ask sharp questions, act fascinated. "That's really good, Evan. I wouldn't have thought to compare those variables. You just saved me again." He'd get that slight embarrassed look. "It's nothing, just part of the job." I'd smile at him. "Stop underselling yourself. That's a real skill." Was I laying it on thick? Absolutely. Did he seem to be rejecting it? Not really. At minimum, he wasn't sprinting in the opposite direction. Phase 2, build a routine. I start bringing him coffee, very casual, this is no big deal. I was already getting one. Figured you might want one too. You guys always look buried alive in spreadsheets over here. The first time he looked genuinely confused, like I handed him a rare artifact. "You don't have to do that." "I know, I wanted to. Consider it a thank you for saving my team last week." He took the cup. "Thanks, Sarah. That's really nice. Score.exe. Then I do it again the next week, then again once or twice a week. Just enough to make it a pattern. It slowly becomes our little thing. I'm the senior director who, for some reason, keeps stopping by to bring coffee to the quiet data guy. And of course the office starts noticing. You can feel that kind of thing before anyone says it out loud. The rumor mill starts humming. Some of the women on my team give me those little knowing looks, tiny smirks, raised eyebrows. And I get this rush from it because I feel in control, like I'm producing the story, while everyone else watches. I start collecting small facts about him. He listens to podcasts on history and economics at his desk, headphones on, spreadsheets open. He's really into gaming, but not frat boy gamer stuff. Not sports games, not military shooters. I overheard him talking to one of the engineers about some brutally hard fantasy game, Elden Ring. I think they were discussing boss patterns and stat builds, like they were analyzing battle plans, total nerd conversation, but he was talking with this quiet intensity that made him sound more alive than he ever did in meetings. And weirdly, that just confirmed my whole read on him. Classic nerd safe. He's not out in bars, trying to pick up 22-year-olds. He's at home in sweatpants, fighting digital monsters for 6 hours. Perfect. My internal monologue is doing Olympic-level mental gymnastics at this point. I'm basically congratulating myself for being so open-minded. Look at me, successful woman in her 40s, giving a real chance to a shy, nerdy guy in his early 30s. So generous, so evolved. Most women in my position would be waiting around for a surgeon or startup founder. But not me. I value intellect. I see substance. I see potential. I'm leaning in, just in a different category. The arrogance of it was insane. I just couldn't see it. Yet I was building an entire movie in my head. Me as the lead in some reverse rom-com, high-powered exec. Falls for the sweet, quiet analyst. He'll be loyal. He'll be grateful. He won't compete with me. He won't resent my success. He'll admire it. Hell, he'll probably worship it. Phase 3 public validation. We have a big cross-functional quarterly review, Zoom. Obviously, 20 faces in little boxes like a corporate Brady Bunch. My team is presenting the Q3 communication strategy, and it is not going well. The VP of product starts grilling my senior manager over the campaign. Numbers, recent engagement metrics are on screen. They look bad. At first glance, VP is visibly annoyed. My manager is trying to explain and absolutely drowning. I can see the panic sweat through the Zoom compression. Everyone gets quiet in that fake corporate way. The awkward kind where nobody wants to make eye contact, but everyone is staring. Then Evan unmutes, his little square lights up. If I can jump in for a second, voice calm as ever. No panic, no ego. He shares his screen. One of his dashboards appears. Looks like alien math to me. Charts, filters, tabs, tiny labels everywhere. But apparently it's wizardry. He starts walking everyone through. It says our campaign is actually beating benchmark by around 14%. When you isolate the intended audience, the ugly overall average is getting dragged down by a bot, wave that hammered the login page earlier that week. Not a messaging problem, security problem says. He already flagged it to engineering. Then silence. The VP blinks at the screen. Whole tone of the meeting changes in like 3 seconds. Oh, well that's good then. Thanks, Evan. Evan gives one small nod, stops sharing, mutes himself, and disappears back into the grid, like nothing happened. Just like that. My team is saved, I am saved, and I get hit with this weird surge in my chest. Part relief, part attraction, part something uglier, ownership, like that's my guy, my quiet little genius, just rescued the room. Later that same day, another team is presenting some younger guy, maybe 24 or 25, is talking about strategy for younger male users. I'm riding high at this point, feeling sharp, funny, generous, like I can do no wrong. I unmute to make what I think is a playful comment, something light, something witty. We should remember who we're talking to here, I say. Laughing a little, all the Zoom boxes turn toward me. Men in their 30s are basically still kids, just with retirement accounts. Guys in their 20s are pretty much babies. You have to spoon-feed them everything, I expect. At least a few laughs, maybe polite corporate chuckles, something a couple of women on the call do the tight, awkward smile thing. Most people just go. Still, the vibe drops straight through the floor. I glance over at Evan's square. He's not smiling, not laughing, just looking at the screen. But his face is different. Not angry, not offended in that dramatic way. Just disappointed, deeply disappointed, like I just broke something in front of him, like a kid realizing the magician was using a trap door. It only lasts a second. Then he puts the neutral face back on, but I saw it, and for some reason it lands hard, which annoys me immediately. Why do I care? It was a joke. People need to relax. That's what I tell myself anyway. Except suddenly it doesn't feel funny anymore. The whole meeting feels colder after that. I mute myself. Fast, my face is hot. The rest of the week gets weird. Thursday morning, I do my usual coffee stop and walk over to his desk. And suddenly it feels less like a move and more like a walk of shame. Hey, got your usual. I try to sound breezy normal, like nothing happened. He looks up from his monitor. Oh, thanks. Sarah, you didn't have to. Same words as before, different tones, still polite. But the warmth is gone, that slightly flustered energy he used to have around me. Gone, it's all professional, now flat distant. He takes the coffee turns back to his screen, almost immediately. No small talk, no smile, no, how's your morning? I stand there for a second, waiting for the opening, nothing, just the sound of keyboards and office air conditioning. I go back to my desk, feeling weirdly rejected, which feels ridiculous. This is ridiculous. He's the quiet one. I'm the one running this whole dynamic. That's the story in my head anyway. So, my brain starts damage control. He's probably busy. He's stressed that VP has everybody on edge this week. It has nothing to do with my totally hilarious and definitely accurate joke. Friday comes phase 4. The ask my confidence has a crack in it now. But arrogance is a great spackle. I cover the crack and keep moving. He's just shy. That's all probably got awkward. After I joked around in a meeting, doesn't know how to respond. He needs me to lead. Obviously, I catch him around 5:30. While he's packing up to leave, standing by his cubicle, zipping his bag, I lean against the partition and go for casual. Hey, Evan. He glances up. Hey, Sarah. Have a good weekend. Already zipping the backpack. Already half turned away. Not really making eye contact. You too. Crazy week, huh? You seriously saved us in that meeting? I feel like I owe you a drink. There it is. Line delivered, clean easy. No pressure. At least, that's how I meant it. He finally looks at me directly. Eyes steady, clear, no nerves, no blushing, just this calm stillness. I appreciate that, Sarah. But I'm going to pass. Soft voice, gentle tone. Still feels like getting hit by a wall made of pillows. No impact sound, but you stop cold. My brain blanks for a second. This outcome was not in my script. Oh, okay. You have plans? And now I'm stammering. Why am I stammering? He shrugs a little. Not really, just says it plain, honest answer. Somehow that's worse than if he'd lied. Worse than I'm busy, worse than maybe another time. My professional brain kicks on automatically. Like I'm collecting info after a failed launch. I need to understand where the plan broke. Okay, well, can I ask why? I try to keep it light. It comes out tight. I thought we were getting along. He gives this small, sad smile, leans back against the desk, like he's finally decided to engage for real, and I can feel it. This is the post-mortem. We do get along at work, he says, careful with every word. You're really good at what you do. I respect you. Here comes the setup. I brace for whatever he says next, expecting some version of timing or I'm not dating coworkers. But then he says, I just don't think we'd be a good match outside of work, and it hits a nerve immediately. Why not? Too fast? Too raw? I hear it as soon as it leaves my mouth. He takes a breath. The comment you made in the meeting on Tuesday, about men in their 30s being boys. I flinch before I can hide it. Evan, that was an office joke. I was trying to be funny. I know you think it was, he says, and he's still being so calm about it, which somehow makes it worse. He's not attacking me, not lecturing, just observing. But to me, it didn't sound like a joke. It sounded like what you really think. And then he keeps going, still quiet, still measured. I'm 31. I've spent the last decade building my career, helping take care of my family, paying down my loans, trying to be a responsible person. My friends are doing the same. They're getting married, buying houses, raising kids, taking care of sick parents. They're not boys. Every sentence lands like a dart in exactly the right spot. No yelling, no theatrics, just precise. And when you say something like that, he says, open my mouth on reflex, ready to argue. Open my mouth on reflex, ready to argue. Ready to deploy the old debate. Club, brain systemic issues, context, power, dynamics. The whole speech, the one about how it's different when women say it. How men as a group still benefit. How my joke existed inside a bigger social reality. And nothing comes out because his face isn't angry. He's not trying to win. He's not trying to shame me. It's just a quiet statement of fact. He's not fighting me. He's just telling me what it felt like to be on the receiving end. Then he says, I'm not interested in dating someone who talks down to men, Sarah, or someone who sees my whole generation as immature. I want a partner, an equal. I don't want to be someone's project, or a safe option that one hits like a slap. Did I say that out loud at some point? How the hell did he get that exact phrase? It feels like he somehow read my entire internal campaign deck. Every phase, every assumption, every smug little strategy note I never wrote down. He just keeps looking at me with this sad, gentle expression. Not pity exactly, not contempt. Something worse, clarity. I hope you understand, he says. Then he picks up his backpack. Have a good night, and that's it. He walks away quietly. No drama, no final speech, no looking back, just gone. And I'm standing there by myself, in the middle of a mostly empty office floor. Lights dimmed, rows of desks, that constant server hum in the background. Faint traffic noise from outside. I feel hollowed out like somebody scooped the center out of me and left the shell. Standing there's no anger to grab onto. No righteous indignation. Nothing familiar to stabilize me. He wasn't a bro. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't get defensive. He didn't mansplain. He didn't call me names. He didn't try to score points. He just calmly, kindly, even explained his boundary. He respected himself. And by doing that, he made me see I hadn't respected him at all. Not really. I saw a category, a type. The quiet nerd, the safe guy, the beta, a set of traits I could predict and manage someone. I could shape someone who would be grateful. I didn't see him, the actual person, the one helping his family, the one who quietly rescues coworkers in meetings, the one with his own standards, his own inner life, his own dignity. The walk back to my desk feels absurdly long, like the office got stretched while I wasn't looking. I sit down in my expensive ergonomic chair, the one with 17 adjustment levers and lumbar support designed by NASA, and stare at my reflection in my dark monitor black screen, my face floating in it. I see a 43-year-old woman sitting alone in an empty office on a Friday night. And the humiliation is physical, not metaphorical. Physical cold weight in my stomach, heavy and dense, almost nauseating. And the worst part, it's not even the rejection. I can survive. Rejection, I've built entire identities around rejection. It's the reason he didn't turn me down, because I was too successful, or too driven, or too intimidating. He didn't reject me because men are fragile and can't handle a powerful woman. He rejected me because I was condescending, because I was disrespectful, because I talked about people like him as if they were beneath me, and suddenly this whole narrative I've been carrying around for 20 years starts making a noise like ice cracking under weight. The story where I'm the hero, where I'm the smart one in the room, where they are the problem, where every dating failure proves my theory. It starts splitting open all those dates, all those men I labeled intimidated, all those postmortems over brunch. Was it really all them? Or was some of it me? Was I projecting confidence? Or was I just hiding behind smugness and calling it standards? Was my wit actually wit? Or just contempt with better vocabulary? I pack up, eventually don't remember. Open the door, and the place that usually opened the door, and the place that usually looks sleek, suddenly looks dead. All that gray and white, all those clean lines, all that aspirational minimalism. It doesn't look elegant tonight. It looks empty cold, like a showroom. No one lives in, like a mausoleum, with designer lighting. I go to the fridge, it's full of neatly stacked single-portion meals, healthy, organized, joyless, the kind of food you buy when your life is optimized and no one else is coming over. I don't want any of it. I reach for a bottle of expensive wine, the kind I usually save for something special. Promotion, holiday, guest coming over, some occasion that never quite arrives. I pour a huge glass, probably more than a glass, if we're being honest, and stand by the floor-to-ceiling window, looking out over the city lights everywhere. Cars moving, thousands, maybe millions of people out there, living their lives. For most of my life, I was told I could have everything that the world was mine if I worked hard enough, and I did. I worked. I climbed. I got the career. I got the apartment. I got the independence. I got the image. I got all the things I thought I was supposed to want. So why does it feel like I'm standing in a beautiful box with nothing in it? The part that keeps replaying is how he said it, quietly. Honestly, no. Anger, just dignity. The guy I categorized as weak had a stronger frame than I did. He had self-respect, real self-respect, not the kind I perform with sarcasm and standards lists. And he wanted a partner who respected him too. I take a long drink of wine. It tastes expensive and bitter, and the realization settles all the way in, even the quiet, decent. Introverted men, I wrote off as easy options. Even they won't accept being talked down to, and why should they? I'm 43, I'm standing alone in my high-rise apartment, and for the first time in a long time, I can't spin it into a story where I'm obviously right. I am completely brutally alone, and there's no one else to blame for it but me.